Hey guys, are you ready for another YouTube video where an ugly person tells you why Looksmaxxing is bad? Well, this is that video.
Looksmaxxing, a once obscure online trend, is moving into the mainstream. Appealing mainly to boys and young men, it's an effort to maximize your looks, often taken to the extreme.
So, Looksmaxxing is a slang term which basically just highlights the lifestyle of trying to become the most attractive, successful person that you can possibly be, like the height of height, the Ubermensch. And for the most part, it's male dominated because women have already been doing this for centuries. Celebrities like Clavicular have been popularizing this movement for guys. From what I gather, it started on online forums and now it's mainstream. In summary though, Looksmaxxing is mostly when people are hyper fixated on staying as attractive as possible to min-max their life. They do this through steroid injections, hair care pills, diet, exercise, makeup, anything that can make you better, they'll do, even if it's unhealthy. And that there is the key word of the video, unhealthy. Basically, I'm not against the notion of self-improvement, but Looksmaxxing is kind of like the toxic version of it. So we have a bunch of topics to hit today. We are going to discuss Clavicular and how Looksmaxxing is destroying his mental health. We are going to talk about how techniques like bone smashing and gold injections are awful for your health and your safety. Connor Murphy is a Looksmaxxer who recently died, and I want to dive into how that happened and why that happened. Plus, we are going to talk about how celebrity obsession with beauty has led to some horrifyingly botched surgeries. We're going to discuss all this and more on today's episode of KV Weekly. So, in the Looksmaxxing communities, it is standard for the guys to have stacks of drugs and creams and pills that they take to try and maximize their attractiveness. I have a list on my phone. There's some stuff in there that's not super crazy, like minoxidil, which is a men's hair product. Testosterone, which is like pretty common. Steroid use and testosterone usage is pretty common amongst like male celebrities. GLP-1s are the new weight loss craze. But then there's some crazy stuff like microdosing meth.
So I'm taking Accutane. I use crystal meth, so methamphetamine, for as a stimulant, and to lean max, right? It's very suppressant of your appetite. It's a very long-acting stimulant. So this is something that I've started using in place of Adderall.
So I want to mention it's not just Clavicular who's doing this stuff. It's kind of his whole crew, his whole ecosystem of friends. There's video that came out of him injecting a chemical called Aqualix into his girlfriend's face.
Okay. It's like needles all fucked up.
Jeff Epstein just tipped $4. Yo, my nigga, I hear you got the plug for those fresh Stacy's. Hit me up, nigga. I'm chilling here in Tel Aviv if you ever want to party.
Dude, I can already see the clips. Clav injects meth on a... Think they're going crazy.
Chat, we're Looksmaxxing her. We're Looksmaxxing her. It's all good. Dr. Clav? Yeah.
I should mention that that girl is now his ex-girlfriend. She's also suing him for that instance. For this video, I don't plan to go into details of that case, especially since it was just like initiated about a month or two ago. When the trials begin, or if it reaches trial, I'll definitely be covering that story. I wanted to include that clip so that you understand that these people are taking their pursuit to looksmax or reach a new level of attractiveness to a crazy extent. One that most people aren't willing to do.
If you're gonna take out hundreds of thousands of dollars worth of loans, you might as well invest it into surgery rather than going to school.
What if you could be a plastic surgeon?
And by the way,
mad paper.
you can actually get college loans and use it for surgery. So this is a method. So I've been telling people, yeah, you can literally do that. So just misappropriating the funds, it's really not going to get you in that much trouble, and you'll mog, so you'll be able to sort of get out of it.
I had mentioned in one of my earlier videos that Clavicular is kind of the face of the bone smashing movement as well, which is a movement where you take a hammer and then you hit it against your chin over and over to create micro fractures in the bone, so that when it heals again, you have a more masculine, more defined chin. Is this real? I have no idea. It sounds kind of stupid, but regardless, he would do it when he was a kid, and he got a whole bunch of other people on TikTok to try it. Normally, I would try to have a clip of this for you. However, I have noticed over time Every clip of it gets removed from the internet. YouTube and TikTok are trying really hard to get people to stop doing bone smashing, to the point where I feel like my video will be taken down if I include any footage of it. Soon I too will be beautiful. According to Clavicular, if I do this long enough, I'll turn into Robert Pattinson. For the most part, Clavicular isn't wrong. Looks do dictate a massive amount of your life. People treat you better if you're hotter. You have more options for dating. If you're an actor, you're more likely to be picked for lead roles. So on and so forth. His worldview is too narrow, though. Attraction isn't only like the physical shape of your chin or your nose or blah, blah, blah. A lot of times your personality and your wealth, definitely your wealth, are factored in. And there's kind of logical reasons for all of this. Your face features, the symmetry of it, how healthy and young you look, blah, blah, blah. All of that is kind of like health indicators that tell your partner subconsciously how long you'll live, how good you are at a fight, things like that. A lot of people get uncomfortable talking about how wealth and attraction are connected, but it's a reality. In most cases, I don't even think it's gold digging to look for people of a certain wealth class. Ultimately, if you grew up a certain way, like if you grew up upper middle class, it's a downgrade to pick someone who isn't upper middle class or higher. And just in general, like nobody would want to marry someone, end up with a kid the next day, and like they have no job, so now you're homeless. Now you're homeless raising the kid, right? An expectation of being able to hold a job, have an apartment, buy groceries, blah, blah, blah. That's pretty standard. And lastly, there's personality as well. Ultimately, you have to be likable, intriguing enough for the person to want to spend time around you at all. Plus, they need to be sure that they're going to be safe around you. So attraction is more like all three of these things coming together rather than Clavicular's idea of it, which is just like physical beauty alone makes their animal brains go yum. And it's deeper than that. I think he knows that too. I think in many ways, a lot of this stuff is his own insecurities bleeding out, and he's making so much money off of it that now he can't stop pushing this agenda. That's all I have to say about Clavicular right now, but I do want to talk about Connor Murphy. Connor Murphy was a Looksmaxxer who recently died at the age of 32. He was renting a place in Thailand, and I guess he had a manic episode and then drowned. So the guy was on vacation, and it looks like he was having manic episodes. The news article reports that he was acting erratically near the village lake, and a witness said he had been rolling on the road before making gestures of prayer to God. Witnesses told the outlet that they'd seen Murphy in the water and that he'd become exhausted. I don't know how true this is. A different article I said he was running from police, jumped in the water, kept swimming, and then got too exhausted, then submerged underwater. This one doesn't mention the cops. I don't know what's real, I don't know. But regardless, he tried swimming while in a manic state, maybe on drugs, went underwater, never came back up. And the reason we're talking about this today for the Looksmaxxing video is that I think he was on drugs, or at least really mentally ill, because his friend claims that he was injecting gold into his veins.
Unfortunately, he started to get this fixation on gold. He started to believe that gold was some gate-kept mineral by the higher-ups that actually basically gives you special powers if you ingest it. Like, you get ability to tap into other dimensions and high levels of consciousness and stuff. And he backed this up because there's one study with like N equals 5 where like the average IQ increased by like 15 points from ingesting gold, which is absurd, and it was just never replicated. And so he was like, well, it's understudied, you just never know, I want to do the experiment. And so he, a few weeks later, he started the experiment. He was injecting gold. And yeah, according to his friends, across the past few weeks, he's just descended into complete madness. Apparently, he was just crazy. He was covered in discoloration from gold poisoning, and he was just painting his house with gold, and he ended up, I think, covered in his own blood, running around the neighborhood screaming. And then the police were called, and then the police chased him down. He ran into the lake, tried to escape, and we know what happened. Rest in peace.
Okay, so allegedly this is footage from his house in Thailand, and yeah, it looks like there's brown and yellowish paint thrown all over the couch and the walls. This place is a mess. You'd think for a multimillionaire who's so on point with physical fitness, his room would not look like this, but it's gotta be drugs. Yeah, here's a look at the kitchen, and if you look at the left part, you can see all the different pills and substances he has on the thingy. Yeah, you know, more paint splatter. I imagine whoever he is renting this to him is not thrilled, but you get the point. Looksmaxxing is a hobby that attracts extreme personalities. The last thing that I wanted to talk about today was surgeries gone bad. Basically, people in Hollywood and people in these jobs where you're seen in the public all the time, they get self-conscious about how they look. And the problem with plastic surgery is sometimes once you do it, you can't undo it. So people go from looking like everyday average people, maybe they're moderately attractive, maybe they're very attractive, but the surgeries go wrong and then they kind of look uncanny valley. It just doesn't look quite right. The Bogdanov twins are a good example of that, as you can see here. This here is Ollie London. I think he's like a minor celebrity slash influencer. Basically, he really wanted to look like the K-pop guys, like the Korean hot guys that do music videos, bands, blah, blah, blah. And he spent over like $100,000 to try and look like that. Do I think he succeeded? No, I think it looks kind of creepy. But, you know, look up pictures online. You be the judge. This is the actress who plays Starlight in the show The Boys. On the left is how she looks like naturally, probably with makeup. On the right is how she looks after surgery. You know, unlike the other two, I don't think she looks awful on the right, but it was a downgrade. Sometimes it's better just to be yourself, and in her case, I think she should have just stay the way she was. I'm not the kind of person who just says, you're beautiful the way you are, stay that way, never change. For the most part, most humans can level up. If they work hard, they try, blah, blah, blah. Almost everybody has room to grow. If you're Brad Pitt or Robert Pattinson, you probably don't have to do anything. I just advocate for, like, if you're gonna try and level up, do it the healthy way. Don't microdose meth. Don't try and do gold injections. You don't need plastic surgery. Just, like, eat healthy. Do keto meals once a day, twice a day. Go to your gym 4 times a week. Focus on jogging. Count calories. Do face creams, blah, blah, blah. Like, if you focus on living well, eating well, staying active, the vast majority of people will find you attractive. Like, very rarely will someone look at a very fit person and say, oh my god, they're hideous. Yeah, I think that's my endpoint. If you focus on being as healthy as possible, both psychologically and physically, feeling good follows after. Looking attractive comes with it. You don't have to chase the newest craze or the newest weight loss trend to get public approval. That's all I had to say for today. Leave your thoughts in the comments below. If you haven't already, please hit like and subscribe. It really helps me out. I'm gonna go buy a pizza. I'm pretty hungry. I'll start the Looksmaxxing diet tomorrow. I promise. But for now, I want my pizza.